What if I told you that the most profound revolution of our time isn't happening in the halls of government, isn't happening in the stock market, and isn't happening in the headlines you scroll past every morning? It's happening silently in the private decisions of millions of men who have simply decided they're done. Done with dating, done with marriage, done with friendships that drain them, done with workplaces that exploit them, done with the endless demand to provide, protect, and perform for women who no longer value loyalty. This isn't a protest, it's a quiet revolution. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll see exactly why men are walking away and why this shift is only the beginning of something far bigger. Before we dive in, make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you want more great Angry Guy content. That's how we keep this conversation alive and growing. And if you're serious about protecting your assets, safeguarding your wealth, and learning how to buy, sell, and trade crypto with confidence, check out Angry's Crypto Academy. It's linked in the description below. That's where you'll learn the strategies to stay ahead, to build real financial independence, and to stop relying on systems that don't care about you. Go check it out now. Now, let's get into the heart of this. Men are quietly withdrawing, not because they're weak, not because they're lazy, not because they've lost their masculinity. They're withdrawing because they've finally seen the code underneath the surface. They've realized that the loyalty they were promised, the unconditional love they were told existed, was never unconditional at all. It was conditional. Conditional on their ability to provide, conditional on their ability to protect, conditional on their ability to perform. And once that realization sinks in, once a man sees that his worth is measured not by who he is, but by what he can do, the fire goes out. He stops playing the game. Think about it. Walk into any bar, any university campus, any social media platform, and you'll feel it. The energy is gone. The pursuit, the ambition, the primal drive to build and provide for a family, it's dissipating like mist in the morning sun. What you see instead is the rise of the checked out man. He's polite, he's functional, he may even be successful, but behind his eyes, the fire is extinguished. He's not angry. He's not marching in the streets. He's simply done. This isn't new. History has shown us this pattern before. In the Soviet gulags, men learned the brutal truth that loyalty evaporates when utility disappears. Wives denounced husbands to save themselves. Bonds dissolved when a man's ability to provide was stripped away. In the plague-ridden days of the Roman Empire, wives abandoned sick husbands, fleeing cities to save themselves. Survival came first. Loyalty was conditional. And now, in the modern dating marketplace, the same principle plays out in digital form. Swipe left, swipe right, endless queues of men reduced to profiles, features, and checklists. The second a slightly better option appears, loyalty evaporates. The man is replaced. His utility is zeroed out. This is the loyalty paradox. The very system that promises connection, dating apps, social media, the endless illusion of choice, has dismantled the conditions for loyalty. When people believe there are infinite better options, commitment collapses, and men, realizing they are replaceable parts in a machine, quietly stop trying to be a part of the machine at all. The data backs this up. A 2022 Pew Research study found that 63% of men under 30 describe themselves as single, compared to just 34% of women in the same age group. That's not a minor trend. That's a demographic chasm. It's evidence of a generation of men opting out. And when you look deeper, you see why research shows that mate value discrepancy, when one partner perceives a higher value option, is one of the primary predictors of infidelity and relationship dissolution. Translation: loyalty collapses when a man's utility is compromised. Now, let's make this real. Picture Mark, a 28-year-old software engineer. He's got a good job, his own apartment, a decent life. He downloads a dating app, spends hours crafting his profile, swiping, chatting, finally lands a date. He pays for dinner, listens intently, does everything right. They have a nice time. He texts her the next day. Silence. A week later, he sees her Instagram story. She's on a date with another man. Mark doesn't feel heartbreak. He feels irrelevance. He realizes he's one of dozens, maybe hundreds in her queue. He's not being rejected for who he is. He's being swapped out for a more optimal set of features. And in that moment, he sees the truth. He's a digital prisoner in the algorithmic gulag, and he's done. Or take David, 32, in a 5-year relationship. He's loyal, committed, planning a future, saving for a ring. Then his company has layoffs. He's unemployed for 4 months. The dynamic shifts. His girlfriend's support turns into passive aggressive comments, subtle comparisons to her friend's more successful fiancés. The respect in her eyes dims. One evening, she tells him, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore." David realizes his function as provider was compromised, and with it, the bond dissolved. He doesn't scream, he doesn't rage, he feels a chilling calm. He sees the code, and he's done. This is the great male withdrawal. Men are realizing en masse that the romantic ideal of unconditional love was a fairy tale they believed in, but women did not. And once that illusion dies, men stop playing. They stop chasing. They stop performing. They walk away. Now, critics call this a crisis of masculinity. They say men are failing, men are weak, men are retreating. But they're wrong. What we're witnessing is not surrender. It's the beginning of a silent revolution. Men are no longer seeking validation from a broken system. They're turning inward, building sovereignty of the self. They're realizing that their worth cannot be contingent on loyalty that evaporates the moment utility disappears. They're reclaiming their throne. This is the pivot from external validation to internal sovereignty. A man who stops outsourcing his happiness, who stops begging for approval, becomes sovereign. He builds his life on his own mission, his own principles, his own respect. He becomes the supreme authority of his own domain. And ironically, when he stops needing women for validation, he becomes more attractive. But the goalposts have shifted. The objective is no longer to attract a woman. The objective is to build a magnificent life for himself, where a woman is a welcome addition, not the source of his worth. This is why men are walking away. They're not bitter, they're not angry, they're free. They've stopped playing a rigged game. They've stopped investing in a system that only values them for their utility. They've chosen sovereignty, and that choice is spreading. Look around. Men are opting out of marriage, opting out of dating, opting out of workplaces that exploit them, opting out of friendships that drain them, opting out of spaces where they're told to provide, protect, and perform without loyalty in return. They're done. And this withdrawal is not the end. It's the beginning of a new kind of freedom. Now, let's be clear. The initial phase of this awakening is dark. It feels like despair. It feels like the ground giving way beneath your feet. But that darkness is the crucible. It's the burning away of the false self, the provider self, the performer self, the man who built his identity on a contract that was always destined to be broken. And once that false self dissolves, a new foundation emerges, a foundation built on sovereignty, self-respect, and mission. This is the paradox. The less you need women for validation, the more likely you are to attract one of quality. But even then, the objective is not attraction. The objective is sovereignty. The objective is building a life so complete, so mission driven, that a woman is not the source of it, but a welcome addition to it. That's the only foundation for a relationship that isn't transactional. That's the only path to genuine partnership. So when people ask why men are walking away, the answer is simple. Women went too far. They pushed the boundaries of loyalty until men saw the truth. Hey, Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. They demanded endless provision, endless protection, endless performance, while offering conditional loyalty in return. And men finally have had enough. They're done with dating, done with marriage, done with friendships that drain them, done with workplaces that exploit them, done with sharing spaces where they're told to provide without respect, done with intimacy that feels transactional, done with engaging in any meaningful way. They're done. And this isn't defeat, it's awakening, it's sovereignty, it's freedom. Men are walking away, not because they've lost, but because they've finally won. They've won clarity, they've won autonomy, they've won the right to build lives on their own terms. And that's the revolution. Now, let's stretch this further. Imagine the ripple effects. When millions of men stop chasing, stop performing, stop providing, the entire social fabric shifts. Dating markets collapse, marriage rates plummet, birth rates decline, governments panic because economies depend on new generations of workers, taxpayers, and consumers. Corporations panic because fewer families mean fewer mortgages, fewer minivans, fewer suburban shopping trips. The system itself begins to wobble because the foundation, male participation, has been quietly withdrawn. This is why you're seeing headlines about the marriage crisis, the dating crisis, the fertility crisis. But what those headlines never admit is the root cause. They'll blame economics, they'll blame culture, they'll blame technology. But the truth is simpler: women went too far, and men saw the code. Once men realized loyalty was conditional, once they realized their worth was measured only by utility, they stopped playing. And when men stop playing, the system collapses. Think about the workplace. For decades, men were told to grind, to sacrifice, to put in endless hours to provide for families. That was the contract. Work hard, provide, and loyalty will follow. But now men see that loyalty evaporates the moment utility disappears. Lose your job, lose your income, lose your status, and watch how quickly respect vanishes. Men are realizing that workplaces exploit them, families drain them, and loyalty is conditional. So they're opting out. They're choosing sovereignty over servitude. Think about friendships. For years, men carried the burden of being the reliable one, the protector, the fixer. But now they see that those friendships were transactional too. The moment they stop providing utility, the bond dissolves. So they're withdrawing. They're choosing solitude over exploitation. They're choosing sovereignty over dependency. And think about intimacy. For centuries, intimacy was framed as the reward for provision and protection. But now men see that intimacy itself has become transactional. It's conditional on status, conditional on income, conditional on performance. And once men see that, the illusion dies. They stop chasing intimacy as validation. They stop begging for approval. They walk away. This is the great awakening. Men are realizing that every domain, dating, marriage, friendships, workplaces, intimacy, is built on conditional loyalty. And once they see that, they withdraw, they stop playing, they walk away. And that withdrawal is not defeat, it's sovereignty, it's freedom, it's the beginning of a new kind of revolution. Now, let's talk about the psychological shift. At first, withdrawal feels like despair. It feels like emptiness. It feels like the ground collapsing beneath your feet. But that despair is the crucible. It's the burning away of the false self, the provider self, the performer self, the man who built his identity on a contract that was always destined to be broken. And once that false self dissolves, a new foundation emerges, a foundation built on sovereignty, self respect, and mission. This is the paradox. The less you need women for validation, the more likely you are to attract one of quality. But even then, the objective is not attraction. The objective is sovereignty. The objective is building a life so complete, so mission driven, that a woman is not the source of it, but a welcome addition to it. That's the only foundation for a relationship that isn't transactional. That's the only path to genuine partnership. Now, let's expand the lens. What happens when millions of men walk away? Society itself begins to fracture. Governments scramble to incentivize marriage, to subsidize families, to encourage childbirth. Corporations scramble to market intimacy, to sell romance, to monetize loneliness. Media scrambles to shame men, to guilt them, to call them weak, toxic, fragile, but none of it works. Because once a man sees the code, once he realizes loyalty is conditional, he cannot unsee it. He cannot go back. He cannot play the game again. He's done. This is why you're seeing the rise of movements, communities, philosophies built around male sovereignty. Men walking away, MGTOW, red pill, black pill, passport brothers, each one is a different expression of the same truth. Men are done. They're done with conditional loyalty. They're done with transactional intimacy. They're done with exploitation. They're done with playing a rigged game. And they're building new lives on their own terms. Now, critics will say this is dangerous. They'll say it's antisocial. They'll say it's destructive. But let's be clear. What's truly destructive is the system that exploited men for centuries, that demanded endless provision and protection while offering conditional loyalty in return. What's truly destructive is the illusion of unconditional love that never existed. What's truly destructive is the transactional contract disguised as romance. Men walking away is not destruction. It's liberation. It's sovereignty. It's the beginning of a new kind of freedom. Let's bring this down to the personal level. Imagine John, 40 years old, divorced, 2 kids. He spent 15 years grinding at a job he hated, providing for a family that ultimately abandoned him. His wife left, took the kids, took half his assets. John is broken. But then he realizes the truth. He realizes that his worth was measured only by utility. He realizes that loyalty evaporated the moment his utility disappeared. And in that realization, he finds freedom. He stops chasing. He stops begging. He stops performing. He walks away. And in that walking away, he finds sovereignty. He builds a new life on his own terms. He becomes free. Or imagine Alex, 25, fresh out of college. He sees the dating marketplace for what it is, an endless queue of men reduced to profiles, features, and checklists. He realizes he's not being rejected for who he is. He's being swapped out for a more optimal set of features. And in that realization, he stops playing. He stops chasing. He stops begging. He walks away. And in that walking away, he finds sovereignty. He builds a life on his own terms. He becomes free. This is the pattern. Men are realizing the truth. They're seeing the code. Yeah, they're walking away. And in that walking away, they're finding sovereignty, they're finding freedom, they're finding mission, they're building lives on their own terms. And that's the revolution. Now let's talk about mission. Sovereignty is not just withdrawal, it's not just walking away, it's building something new. It's building a life so complete, so mission driven that a woman is not the source of it, but a welcome addition to it. It's building a life where validation comes from within, not from external approval. It's building a life where respect is self-generated, not contingent on utility. It's building a life where freedom is the foundation, not the reward. This is the new masculine mission. It's not about chasing women. It's not about providing for families. It's not about performing for workplaces. It's about building sovereignty. It's about building freedom. It's about building mission. And once a man embraces that mission, he becomes unstoppable. He becomes sovereign. He becomes free. So when people ask why men are walking away, the answer is simple: women went too far. They pushed the boundaries of loyalty until men saw the truth. They demanded endless provision, endless protection, endless performance, while offering conditional loyalty in return. And men finally have had enough. They're done with dating, done with marriage, done with our friendships that drain them, done with workplaces that exploit them, done with sharing spaces where they're told to provide without respect, done with intimacy that feels transactional, done with engaging in any meaningful way. They're done. And this isn't defeat. It's awakening, it's sovereignty, it's freedom, Ken. Men are walking away not because they've lost, but because they've finally won. They've won clarity. They've won autonomy. They've won the right to build lives on their own terms, and that's the revolution. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think about what we've discussed? Do you agree? Do you see the same patterns in your own life, in your own experiences? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. So, this conversation matters and your voice matters. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away in cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.